Hello everyone, this is Burger, and tonight we are going to be doing something special for this Wednesday's video because my girlfriend needs our camera for her own YouTube work, and I've really been pressuring her to get into making YouTube videos. So I'm really happy that she's actually doing it. Instead, today I will teach you, and I'm not sure that you're going to have any use for it, but I'm going to teach it to you anyway, how I make my thumbnails. Now, a lot of people have remarked upon how my thumbnails are a bit, distinctive, a little bit artsy-fartsy, all the swirling and the artistic merit and all the... You know what I'm talking about. If you see one of my thumbnails, you know it's one of my thumbnails. And so I thought I should bring light into the mystery as to how these are made, because people who use Photoshop ask me how I do them, because they know how Photoshop works and they know that the thumbnails that I make aren't just things that you could do with Photoshop filters. And the answer to the big question as to what the magic step is in between this is that I use AI. But I'll show you what AI I use a bit later into the video. So if you're into neural networks and image manipulation, you were probably very much able to reverse engineer what I've been doing all this time from the beginning. But for everyone else, and even for those people, I will now give you confirmation that yes, you were indeed right all along. The first thing I like to do is make a new canvas in Photoshop with like the optimal YouTube thumbnail specifications. Of course, I already have one of these. And what I want to do is build a frame. Now, I'm going to explain later. You'll see later how this is important. And for this, I will just take random artwork that I have on my hard drive and move it to the borders of this, right? I have a huge artwork folder where I can just take random artwork. I'm always careful to make it so there is a good amount of space to the sides. So this one, of course, I could use this here, but that would not make for a lot of space on the downside. So I put it over here, and actually my artwork folder, I'm going to pull this over from my second monitor, is like 8 gigabytes big. It contains over 23,000 pieces of artwork. So, yeah, I'm gonna just fast forward through this process of building the frame. Now, something I want to mention is that what you don't want to be doing here is using artwork that has like a black frame around it. A lot of artwork has this. I think this might be one of those, where you see this up here, it's like a black frame. I don't want those. You don't want big bars of color to do what we are going to be doing with all this artwork that we've put in here. Now, once you have your frame set up, what you want to be doing is take the same kinds of artwork and start placing it inside of the whole thing. And it really does not matter what artwork you take, how large it is, how small it is. The artwork that we have here, or the pictures that we use here, they're really just random noise. It doesn't matter what we put here. They're not going to be recognizable as what they originally were in any way, shape, or form in the finished product, as you probably know, because you've seen the finished products, and they don't look like this at all. So just feel free to put shit in here, and to prove to you that none of this is going to be a problem, I will put a terrible 2012 level meme, some normie shit, in the very center of this thing once this is built, the filling, so to speak. Let's see what we can. Let's see what's the. I'm gonna go on a journey to find the cringeworthiest shit that I can find. Let's take this. Let's just take this one. This is a classic. Let's put it right in the fucking middle. Actually, let's make it like a little bit. Let's pull it like this. It can be utterly deformed. Nobody gives a fuck. Now what you want to be doing is take all these layers. Merge layers. Do not merge visible, because what will happen if you merge visible is that the frame that you've built for yourself will disappear. So you're going to merge layers, and now go onto filters and do liquefy. And now the fun begins, right? We do this. We just start sort of doing this, like a fucking mad person. And this is where the frame comes in, because the frame is very convenient for the pushing and pulling, because if you only had the area that wasn't in the frame, any pull from the sides would create a void of transparency, and that's not something you want. This is a good result. You can also go into the filter gallery before this. I usually go into the filter gallery after this and apply some filters. I wasn't actually very satisfied with the original results of this, so I went back in. Now let's go into filter gallery. The best filter to apply to this is cutout, because what it does, it really simplifies the way it goes. Right here, for instance, right here, I'm saying this with my hand. Right here, for instance, we had an area where there was big green, like a real aggressive green that didn't fit into the rest of the picture. Now that's no longer there. So apply this filter a couple of times, which you can just do in Photoshop. If you know what you're doing, just click on filter gallery and it'll reapply the last filter that you've applied. And you see how this becomes a lot simpler in terms of texture and color, and that's really something that you want. For most situations, you could go into you could stroke all of this by using the, what's it called, poster edges filter. I usually don't like to do this. It does look cool, but it sometimes produces unpredictable results. In the next step, which is the most interesting step, and the step you've all been waiting for. So what you want to do with this is you want to save this for web, and not as a JPEG, but as a PNG. I have to save the thumbnails as JPEGs because the PNGs are too big in terms of volume, and YouTube doesn't accept it. But if you don't want to use JPEGs in between because they reduce quality. And now, the interesting step of what I do is I use AI, and I use deep style, which of course is, you know, it's a bit over the top to say that this is actually AI that I use. But it is, I use, you know, neural networks to do something that is extremely cool that many people are aware of these days, but certainly when I was made aware of it, it became a massive revolution in how I saw what machines could do for us. So what you want to do is you want to click on here. This is the one I use, the deepdreamgenerator.com. You upload an image. You know, upload your original PNG. And then I'm gonna go look into my special cool shit folder. I have a cool styles folder where I look into some styles that I can apply to this. And I have these ones which are just my styles that I've tested and that I know are cool and look good. And I also have an experimental folder that I'm not going to go into today. I especially like textures. I'm going to look for something that might look interesting, and then you'll see how massive the impact is on the picture that I am doing. So let's just sort of take this one's a piece of Aboriginal Australian art. Very interesting. I go to settings. I pump up the resolution to HD. This is something that I can do because I'm a power user of this platform. I've got a lot of shit on there. I usually like to put up the depth to deep. It's personal preference. Doesn't really, you don't really have to do it. I don't like to mess around with the enhancement or style weight or style scales. Now, if you want, you can do preserved colors. I usually don't see what it does, and you just hit generate. And because I can do 2 of these pictures, that's precisely what I'm going to be doing. Is making 2 of them. I just click on this. Uses the same base thing. Now I'm going to get a different style. So later in the assembly, you'll see what cool things this does. And I think I'm going to go with something a bit more textural. This is something that my mouse cursor has been doing lately, is that it just gets stuck sometimes, and it goes really slow, and I don't know why, because like my processing power is at 10% or something. Oh, these actually, I don't want to have these, because these are the results of deep style images, where the original style is... It's not the original style. Yeah, I found a cool one. This one is, I think, going to yield some very interesting results. Just hit open. Put it in there, put this here, and then click on generate. And it's going to take a while to generate. Now, while our images are in the oven, I'm just going to put some... Usually, I would take a frame from the video that I made and cut myself out of it and then just place it here. I know there's people that put more work into that, but honestly, I can't be fucking bothered. Now I'm just going to put text, because obviously I am making right now the video that will be here, and it's about the thumbnail anyway, so I don't know why I would have to put my ugly mug on here. Let's just write something stupid like high-tech thumbnails, and I have a lot of fonts, but the impact font, no matter what you may think of it, is actually a lot better than people generally make it out to be. It's fit for a lot of situations. Personally, it has never disappointed me in anything. Here's a trick that I want to teach you. Well, actually, it doesn't make sense to choose colors now because we don't exactly know what the end results are going to be. But here's a trick that I learned that's really cool that I would encourage you to learn as well. You go to the biggest layer, right? To the one that encompasses the whole picture, the background layer. Select all, go here to the layer text layer, then go to layer, where is it? Align layers to selection, vertical centers, and align layers to selection, horizontal centers. And then you will have the text perfectly centered. I can hear all the Photoshop experts rolling their eyes like, yeah, fucking this is some basic shit, we know how this works, Jesus Christ. And because I'm making a video about this right now, of course this has happened. And the Deep Dream hasn't generated, which is something that has only happened to me once ever. And I use this site a lot. What the fuck? So I had to wait for an hour because you can only get 2 deep style images an hour in HD on that site, and that is, you know, the best site. So that's fun. I spent my time watching Russian men chasing bears through forests while shouting. Now that we've done this, we will take these. This is the result of what happens. If you compare this, you will see that it's really quite similar. And we will take this and we will paste it. And it's not quite as large, but if we pull it and we fit it to the screen, it's really not noticeable at all. So this is the one that is done with the Aboriginal now. This is the other one that didn't work at first. We will also add this, and we will go into the blending options and make this one transparent. It's really hard to tell beforehand. Let's go with 70. I don't know if 70% transparency isn't a little too dark. So let's go with 60% transparency. What I want to do is really that it's still recognizable, it's still visible, the effects that it adds on, but it's not overpowering to the extent that it takes out all the everything out of the thumbnail layer that is below. Sometimes I will also deactivate these two or make them both transparent so you can see a little bit of the original thumbnail layer. I am actually thinking of maybe giving that one like a 10% opacity. Putting it at the top, no, that doesn't, I'm not sure. I don't like this. I'm just going to put this at the bottom and this. Just ignore it. Let's just not give a shit about it. I also changed the text. It now says it's really quite simple because, let's be honest, this is not fucking rocket science. Anyone could do this. This isn't something that you have to go to Illustrator school for, which I didn't. I am by no means a Photoshop expert. Let's go simple with the color. I want something that does stand out against the whole thing. Now, the nice thing about doing this is that you really don't have to care about readability, because what we will do now is go into blending options. And I have this window is separate here. I always have this on my secondary screen. And first of all, we're going to stroke it. Go with at least 10 pixel stroke. Black is always good. You always want, if your text is bright, you want a dark stroke. Or if your text is dark, you want a bright stroke. The stroke color, I think I'm going to go with dark brown. Well, it's still very, very well legible. And it does fit, Jesus. It does fit with the overall theme while not being identical to the theme and sort of blending into the whole situation. Also, let's give this an outer glow. Give this a pretty large outer glow, maybe 100 pixels. Choose a color. This one, maybe this one. This one is nice. Okay, and take this, take that. Very good. Now we have a thumbnail. This is a thumbnail we can use. It's really, it's a unique style, it works very well, but at the same time, it's not something that requires huge amounts of work. It's not something that requires huge amounts of expertise. And it's something that I immensely enjoy, so why not do it like this? And of course, you export this as a JPEG, as I already explained, and then you do, the standard thing that you do with YouTube videos and thumbnails. So thank you very much for watching. This was just like an interlude. I'm gonna go back to making a regular video on Friday. I will actually be streaming at 2000, which should be an hour after the release of this video. No Man's Sky on Twitch, if that works, and I might be joined by a couple people, or not, depending on how it goes, how I go, how everything goes. So thank you very much for watching. I hope you're seeing the patrons on the screen, because if you didn't, then I forgot to add them in, and that would be terrible. In that spirit, have a fantastic day, and see you around, cunts.